Hey, Quinn, keep fire down below. We can't risk spooking this kid while Palmer's hanging on to him.
Okay, good. Yeah, you got it. Excuse me, Lieutenant? I'm gonna have to ask you not to go up there.
Excuse me?
Yeah, crazy, I know, but maybe interests.
But that's a city building.
I know that, but there's one of our team members up there, and if he dies, you're going to be dealing with the whole U.S. Navy.
Engine 52 to all units. Stand down for now. Wait for my command.
If you have one of those big bags, you know, just in case.
All right, boys, let's get the air cushion prepped.
Check out these skid marks.
I don't see any skid marks.
Exactly.
Does this not make a rainy day much better with Jennifer Esposito here? We're so excited to have you.
Hi, I'm glad to be here. Hello.
Well, we have a whole lot to talk about because you are a busy, busy gal. Let me tell you.
Yes, I am. You're
Are
right.
you busy? Tell us.
I am extremely busy, but no, I'm glad to be here.
Good. Well, you have 2 shows on the air right now. You've been in a ton of different shows before. You got a new book coming out. You got a bakery. Guys, she pretty much got everything going on right now.
Oh, I try.
So let's first talk about your return to CBS, and you are now on NCIS. Is everyone here fans of NCIS?
Yes, NCIS was very quick. I got the job like on a Tuesday, and I had to be there by Monday.
Oh,
yeah, it was like, what, huh? And it was, I was in New York, and that was in LA, so that was pretty insane. But it's been lovely. It's been great. They're great people over there.
So tell us about your character, Alex Quinn. So you've been on for about a half a season now. How's it going? And kind of explain your character, what you took away from her from reading the script.
She is someone who knew Gibbs before, and she had a history with him that we have already looked into a little bit. But she was a teacher. She taught a lot of them before, and something happened in the past where she didn't want to go forward in the field. But he comes and he says, "Come on, you're getting back into my team," and she can't say no to Gibbs, and she says okay. And yeah, she's fun. I think we're still finding out a lot about her, and I am as well. Like I said, it was so quick that I find out new stuff every day. So, and there's some interesting writing coming down for her.
Awesome.
So there's a lot to look forward to in the future with her. Yeah.
You know, with Blue Bloods, your past, playing a federal agent, this is kind of similar.
I am a federal agent. Don't tell anyone.
I knew it.
Yeah, no, I don't have any idea why I get cast that way. Like, none whatsoever. I really don't know, but they cast me that way, and I take it and then go and try and do something else. And then I get a call from my agent, like, they really want to see you for this detective role. It's like, no.
You're so good at it, though. You're a natural.
Sometimes you do it so much that I, one time saw something suspicious, and I was like looking, like, Jennifer, you're not a detective. You don't have a gun. You can't apprehend anybody. But like, I'll find myself knowing some laws and some rights, and they can't detain him if they don't, because of doing it so long. So yeah, it sticks with me.
You know a lot, especially walking around New York City. I'm sure you're
telling
always
you.
catching things.
Yeah. So
what was it like for you, though, to join a show that's been on for, I think this is season 14, right?
It's season 14.
Was it intimidating at all?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, when it's such a well-received show, the fans, they are diehard for this show. So you want to be very respectful coming in, be like, hey, it's me. No, it's not my show. Mark, he is the one that is, and everyone, but he's the lead of the show and created a great character and a great environment, which I think is part of the reason it's still around. And you can see that come across. I think people are very, very wise, whether they know what they're seeing or not. It's what comes across through the screen, that it is run with dignity and respect towards the crew, and the writing shows that for the characters. So yeah, you come in respectfully. Yeah.
And you had a fellow co-star join you, which is Wilmer Valderrama,
Yep.
which everybody loves from that 70s show.
Right.
So did you guys kind of team up on set and get into the vibe of the, the cast and crew who's been there for a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, him and I knew each other prior, so that was fun. It was like taking this ride together. But yeah, they are in such a groove there, and I have to say, the majority of the people have been there for 14 years. Like, it's not a new crew; it's the same people. So you know that it's a good environment if people are there that long, because it's a lot of work. People don't realize it's a lot of work doing an hour-long procedural kind of show. It's a lot of work. It's definitely a lot of work. So you got to be happy where you are. But yeah, Wilmer and I, we did jump right in. Yeah, for sure.
All that work pays off because this is CBS's like most successful show ever. So
It's
I know
so
everybody here
crazy.
probably watches it. I love watching it.
It's so strange. It's just, it blows my mind. It really does.
So what can we expect from your character? I know some people have some murmurs about a possible Gibbs romance between.
Yeah,
the
I
two.
know. No, I can't say that's going to happen. I think it would be great to have them blossom as friends, because I think they are, and I think she's the one person in that group that can really go toe-to-toe with him. So why ruin that with some love relationship? Seriously. I mean, haven't we all been there? Let's stay friends. Yeah, no, I don't think it's proper. She works for him. And I think he feels the same way. But to be someone he can really speak to and be an ally, and for her as well, I think it would be great to see. Yeah, and we do have a natural banter. Yeah, we definitely do. Yeah.
You never know. Maybe season 20, we'll see it happen.
Season 29.
Well, if you guys want love and relationships, Jennifer's also on The Affair, which is one of my favorite shows.
Mine too.
This season, it has gotten very dark.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah,
It's
we're
nuts.
just discovering so much about Noah. So
I know.
tell us a little bit about whoever hasn't seen The Affair. You play Noah's sister,
I
Nina.
know her sister Nina. Thank you.
You're like, oh,
Yeah,
no,
it's crazy because I'm an enormous fan of the show, and I remember when it was on, and I was just like, I don't even know what to do with myself. And I remember speaking to my manager and saying, I don't care what I play. I don't care if I'm making treats for the crew. I just want to go and witness, because I think the writing is some of the best writing on TV. I was blown away, and she called over and she said, Jennifer Esposito is a huge fan. If there's ever anything, and they said, okay, we'll keep it in mind. And they called and they said, would she want to play Noah's sister? It was just one scene at first, and I was like, I'm playing who? Yeah. I'm playing whose sister? Like, if you don't know, Noah is the lead on the show, and he's such a complex, incredible character that I was like, I don't care if the scene's 2 seconds. Yes. Yeah. And then it turned out to be more, and yeah, I mean, it's so well written. The few scenes here and there that I have, some of the best time for me.
Well, I have to say, you stand out in those scenes for sure.
Thank
to the
you.
point where I want to know more about Nina.
Yes, we do want to know more about Nina. Bring her back, season 3, season 4. I would love it. I would love it. And I don't know anything now, but yeah, people were writing, we need Nina's point of view, because if you haven't seen the show, what I really, really fell in love with is they do different point of view for the same situation, but from the male and female, or the two females' perspective. And it's amazing, because you and I could be having this, we're all having this experience. The way you see it and the way I see it is different. And the little subtle things they did, as far as like when he sees one of the female characters, he sees the woman in a short dress.
Exactly.
And when she talks about the same situation, her dress is longer. Yep. It's not as sexualized.
Down,
yeah, it's so
so
interesting to me. Yeah. So we'd love to see Nina and her point of view. Oh my God. Because I love it.
They folded in more and more point of views.
Yeah.
But I would, because this season has been a lot about Noah's past.
It has.
And his childhood,
Yeah.
which you're a big part of.
Oh yeah.
So could you see that kind of working in next season? Because I know the finale's coming up. So.
I would love it, seriously. But I have to be honest, I the scripts I got this season, I refused to read anything I wasn't in. Like, I just would not. So people like, my mother would be like, what's happening? I said, I don't know. She's like, you're lying. I said, no, I'm not lying. I won't read it. And they'd talk on set about things, and I'd be like, la, la, la. I'm not listening. Like, they would say certain things. I'm like, I didn't hear that. Because I really want to watch. And it's so weird watching myself as his sister. It's like, I'm not his sister. That's a real person. And I'm not his sister. Like, he really, to me, they're all so good, but he killed it this season, I thought. Dominic West,
yeah,
incredible.
so
I
good.
thought he was incredible this season. Yeah.
So you would definitely come back for next season.
Oh, yes.
Guys, get her back.
Did you get that? Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, so you don't know anything about the finale coming up on
Nothing.
Sunday? Oh, man.
Not a one. Not a one. Like, I'm just like you. I can't wait.
Yeah. Where do you think it could go?
Oh, who knows? Every time I think I have it figured out, they switch things up. And that's great writing. That's what great writing is. It really is intense. You know what I love about it mostly too? They're not afraid to make their leads be flawed, very flawed, because we're all flawed. I mean, aren't we? I am. I mean, and so many people shy away from playing those kind of characters or writing those kind of things, but they're human. And that's why I think it's so great. So I couldn't tell you. It could go anywhere.
Oh, man, I was hoping to get some spoilers.
Nothing. I really don't know.
So how do you balance, doing these two shows? I know The Affair is shot in New York. And you said NCIS is in L.A.
Yes.
And you live in New York, correct?
I live in New York
Man.
and in LA. Yes. Somewhere in the air. No, it wasn't an easy schedule, obviously, but to be on that show and go do the NCIS, it was all wonderful. So I just made it work. Thankfully, they worked out schedules. That was tricky, but we made it work. Made it work.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
And so when you're in New York, I don't know if everybody knows, but Jennifer has a bakery.
I do.
Why don't you tell everybody why this is a special bakery?
Yes, I was after, I'd say 30 years, like since I was a child, I was extremely ill, on and off with my health. Everything from stomach issues to panic disorder, anxiety problems, sinus infections, recurring. And then when I got older, things got worse, and I couldn't walk at one point. I lost hair. My skin was peeling out. Like, I can go on. And I was finally diagnosed, and it's not that I sat on the sidelines for so long and just kind of let it go. I went to doctor after doctor after doctor, and I was told everything from maybe it's MS to maybe it's lupus to maybe it's your mind, maybe you're a female, maybe you got hormones, like maybe you're crazy, maybe you should take these drugs, like, but nobody ever gave me any kind of real solid information until I was really ill. My liver enzymes had gone down, my kidneys were in trouble. And this one female doctor sat with me and she said, I have to figure this out. And I was, like I said, a mess. And basically, she tested me for something called celiac disease. And it came back the highest she's ever seen. She said, I don't know how you're alive. I don't know. Because what happens and what celiac disease is, it's an autoimmune disease. But what happens is your body has an adverse reaction, to say the least, to gluten. And gluten is basically in everything. So when I would eat gluten, it would destroy these things called villi. And villi is what surrounds the small intestine. And those villi are in charge of taking nutrients from the food and feeding your body. So think about that. It was like I was being starved to death for years. And there's tons of these villi, but you go 30 years, it kept getting worse and worse and worse. So I was having no nutrients. That's why my body wasn't getting fed. I mean, this disease left undiagnosed, it caused dementia. It causes infertility in women. A lot of women don't know that. Causes cancer. I mean, the list goes on. So that's a very long story to say why I had the bakery, but when I was diagnosed with celiac disease, it came with a lot of other food issues. I can't have eggs, can't have dairy, can't have soy. And for me, I love food. I was never like the girl like, I can't eat that. And I was like, no, I want more of that. I like food. I like to eat. I like my good stuff. I want to have a glass of wine. You know, and especially bread. Yeah. Like, I love my bread. And growing up where I grew up and in Brooklyn, Italian, and bread is like my middle name, Jennifer Bread Esposito. So I don't know what to do. So it was like almost like a cruel joke. So one day when it took a long time to be able to stand and to feel better, I started to bake and cook and developed bagels and developed bread with no gluten, no soy, no dairy, no egg, and developed a blog, wrote a book, and said, I'm going to open a bakery because if there's someone like me, it exists. Yeah. People need this stuff. And it got to the point where I started doing so much research about gluten and the way our food was and how it's all polluted, in my opinion, and we need clean food, everyone. And why all these diseases are becoming so mainstream now, that I just thought, let me give people the option to have a piece of bread that's better for you. Forget about gluten, forget about dairy, forget about eggs, forget about it. Yeah. Just taste the bread, and if you like it, it's better for you, so just eat it. It's just that, it's that simple. It's just that simple. Why wouldn't you rather? We make, those famous Hostess cupcakes that I used to eat when I was a kid. We make them, and they have nothing bad in them. They're made of quinoa, so they have a lot of protein. I mean, we're even doing grain-free bread now. I mean, I love it. I love it. All of this stuff and, The Affair and Crash and all these wonderful things have been amazing. But when you see people come in the bakery who really can't, I have a horror story, but there are worse horror stories. Children who are not developing, their brain not developing, they're not growing, their hair falling out when they're in school, just horrible from this disease. And you're able to give them cookies and cake, and they're able to have a birthday party. It's the best. I mean, because think about it. You have birthdays, you have a cake. Now when you're a celiac, you have sleepovers. Now when you have celiac, it's like, well, what is he going to eat? What is she going to eat? I'm going to travel. When you have celiac, you have to really figure out where you're going to go because it's 1/8 of a teaspoon that gets us sick. And I mean, I'm on the floor. So I figured I had to do something, so I did. Yeah. And the book happened, and it turned out well. And now I have another book coming in September, and that's all recipes.
Like a cookbook, right?
Yeah.
Because it must be hard for you to, like you were saying, go to restaurants and just get a meal that doesn't have all this stuff in it.
And you feel like a pain. You're like talking to the waiter, like, okay, it needs to be gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free, nut-free, and they're like, why did you come out? Because I want to leave my house. Yeah. And
like, why don't you make some gluten-free stuff
somebody
for me?
Make something for me, please. I'm always cooking. It's hard. There's a running joke, like I always keep bread in my bag. I do. Because even if I can just sit and have a salad with nothing on it and have some wine, I pop out my bread, and certain people are like, you can't bring that. I said, well, do you have gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free, egg-free bread? And they're like, no. I said, well, I do.
And I do.
So I'm going to eat it.
Yes, I love it.
That's it.
So will you have some of your bread recipes and things like that in your cookbook?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I also have a new blog. It's called Living Free Jennifer. And again, it's not about celiac. It's about just eating clean for everyone. And a lot of people deal with autoimmune disease, and I talk a lot about that. And just I believe, and I've seen it with myself, any disease or any thing you're feeling that isn't right, I can almost guarantee, you may not heal it, you can probably heal some of it, but I can almost guarantee you will feel better eating the way I eat. Taking out the grains, taking out the gluten, taking out the sugar, taking out the dairy, and what's left? A ton is left. Like I'm not deprived. I just figured out a grain-free pizza last weekend. I was like jumping over the moon. I'm like, I made pizza, and I did, and it's delicious. Yeah. And there's a way to do it. It's just really, none of us have time. Everything's on the go. Everything's made to say, oh, eat this, you're fine. But you're not fine. You're not, because that quickness is the problem. Food is not meant to sit on a shelf for 6 months, not for 6 weeks. Bread is supposed to be made and eaten. So you have to just think about what you put in your body, and I have a feeling you will feel much better when you do.
I want you to be my nutritionist.
Come on, I'll help you.
What kind of research did you have, though? Because you're so knowledgeable on it, but did you find this out all on your own, or what books did you read or recommend to other people?
I was sent to one of the best celiac doctors after what happened, and he checked me and he said, "You have one of the worst cases. I want to study you." That's how it was, like, the lady in the petri dish. I was like, "You want to study me? Okay." That's how bad off I was. And I would say to him, "What do I do?" And at the beginning, I was so bad. I mean, rolling panic attacks where the stimulus from the light would bother me. Like, I was in dark sunglasses and a hat, and they had me on Klonopin, which is really strong, and I was on 4 a day, and still like shaking because it damages your nervous system. It was pretty crazy, and he had nothing to say to me but don't eat gluten. And I was like, that's it? Really? That's it?
Help me.
Really? And I really, there was a time, and I say it in this book is my heart, and it's very telling. I'm very honest, and I go through the whole experience. And there was a time I never forget when a very rough period, and I realized that if this is the best doctor, and I am in New York City, and he doesn't know what to tell me, I am on my own. And a lot of people feel that way with their health, and talking to health professionals, especially women, sadly. And I realized that if I did not become my own advocate and really figure it out, I was in big trouble. So that day, I literally thought, wow, I am on my own, and I have to figure this out. I had gone in for something in the hospital where I had to be admitted, and I had celiac, and I've been doing my research, and I remember there was a big chart they gave me, and this was in New York, and it said autoimmune diseases, and they had lupus and MS and all these things. They didn't have celiac disease. And I wrote in big letters, marker, celiac disease, circled it. I woke up from anesthesia, and the nurse was trying to give me crackers. And I thought, we're screwed. Yeah. We are screwed. Like, huh? She's like, "What, you can't have them?" I said, "I don't know. What do you think? You want to try?" I don't think it's a good idea. Like, I knew if I wasn't knowledgeable, I was going to be in trouble. And I didn't want to be sick anymore. So every new symptom, I read everything there was to read, and then became my own guinea pig. And yeah, and it kind of charted in my head. And this is the book I wish I would have had when I was diagnosed.
Well, I'm sure you're getting amazing feedback on it.
I
You're
can't
helping
even
so
tell
many
you
people.
how many people have written to me from all over the world about, like, "Oh my God, you just saved my life." Because things like, after being sick for so long with their stomach, the doctor is ready to take out their colon, take out their intestines. It's like, did you try a gluten-free diet? Did you try to change your eating? No. Why is no one telling you this? Like, it drives me crazy. One woman had 10 miscarriages before anybody said, maybe there's a problem in her gut. Wow. And she got off gluten, and she has a healthy baby.
Oh, that's wonderful. I just got chills.
Yeah,
well, I'm glad you're feeling much better, right?
I'm feeling great.
That's
thankfully.
amazing. Well,
Yeah.
we're really happy, and this
Thank
is
you.
amazing. If anyone has something like this, or thinks they have it, we should probably read this book.
Oh my God, yeah, and it's honestly, it's even just a journey of 20 films and TV shows. I was working through all of it. Yeah. I don't even know how sometimes, but there's stories about all of it, like going up for my first meeting with agents and sweating profusely through my clothes because I was so not well, and going in the bathroom like, "Get it together, girl," and not knowing what the reason was. Like, "Oh, you're nervous." No, you're ill. Yeah. Things like that, not knowing. Wow. So
it's a crazy story.
Yeah, nuts.
Well, we're glad you're better.
Me too.
And I know some people have some questions out here.
Yeah.
So let's take some audience Q&A. Here we go.
Hi.
Hey, Jennifer.
Hi.
Glad to hear you're feeling better.
Thank you.
So you talked about all the different projects you're attached to with the bakery, the book, all the shows. I just want to know what drives you.
That's a great question. At a different time in my life, before celiac disease, I would have said just to get the great roles, and it would have been probably self-centered, to be honest. I always say celiac disease was a great blessing to me because it made me stop to think about something other than where I was going and what I needed to do and say, okay, let me do something for somebody else. And what drives me now is to get the information out, that I've been thankful and grateful to come here and say things like this and build the brand, the Living Free Jennifer, and let people understand that you have a choice in the way you feel. You don't, I'm not saying doctors are bad, and I'm not saying medication is bad, but if no one's giving you an alternative with food, then they're misleading you. They're just, I really, really want people to know that. I want everyone to be able to say, I feel well, because we have that right, and I didn't feel well for 20-something years of my life. So that's a real driving force for me, absolutely, yeah.
Wonderful. Who's next?
Hey, Jennifer.
Hi.
So I know on set a lot of times there's a lot of food from
Everywhere.
From out there. So do you bring your own food, or do they like change the diet for you or for like the rest of the cast?
No,
or?
it's all me. It's all me. You know why also? Because even people have said, I'll bring you something gluten-free, and it's like, is it dairy-free? Is it egg-free? Is it soy-free? Did you make it on contaminated equipment? I mean, it's too hard. Even when people invite me over for dinner, it's like, you don't want me for dinner. I'll just come. I'll just come and show up with some wine, and I'll bring my bread. But it's too hard. But the sets are loaded. Like even back in the dressing room, my favorite thing in the world was Reese's peanut butter cups, and I can't have them. And I'm just like, you want to grab them, but I know it doesn't even get to me anymore, to be honest, because I know how sick it makes me. Yeah. So yeah, I basically go home after a long day, make sure I have dinner, and I make sure whatever that dinner is, I bring some of it to work the next day. I make sure I make muffins and bread or whatever, and I bring it to work. And Wilmer and Emily Wickersham, and they all eat it. Oh, great. They all they're like, did you bring any cupcakes today? Like, you can't touch my cupcakes.
Those are mine.
Like, come on.
I'm gonna go hungry.
No, they love them. So I'll bring in a lot of stuff for the crew, and they look forward to it. But it's like, that is the only stuff I can eat here, people.
Give it back.
Don't touch it. Yeah.
Here, we have time for one more. Here.
Thank you for sharing that. I think I definitely need to get that book just listening to some of the things you're talking about. So
I think it sheds a light. Sometimes a light bulb goes off if you're able to see something of yourself in someone rather than someone preaching it to you. So it may do wonders.
The question I have is, can you talk about your approach from originating a role in a new series to coming onto an established series like an NCIS that's so successful?
I think, especially with NCIS, it was really important. They have a very interesting tone. It's not like anything I've worked on. It's serious, but it's quirky. It's extremely quirky, and in a good way. I really felt like I needed to understand the tone. So, every project is different. Like, The Affair is a totally different animal, like a completely different animal. The way I worked on The Affair is not the way I work on NCIS. The rhythm is different. So I think that was first, to try and really understand the tone, and then try and make her a voice on there that is something I understood, something I can do easily, because when there's no time on shows like this to go into we stop one episode at 8 o'clock, the next morning at 6, we're doing another episode. So you really got to know who this person is, and make it your own. Always try and make a character your own, because that's one thing an acting teacher said to a very young actress, which was me. A lot of people can act, but there's no you. So what do you bring to this role? We can all do the same scene, but it would be different every time, because you brought you, something that's specifically you. And I'm quirky and stupid and silly, and so I was like, okay, I'll fit in here. So I always think that's the way to go. Yeah.
Great. Well, we've so loved having you here.
Thank
and
you.
I'm going to bring bread in my bag wherever.
That's all.
Thank you so much, Jennifer.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Be sure to watch all these shows and read the book.